250 miles an hour might be too slow, where the winners celebrate in front of millions, and the losers can do nothing but reflect in their hangar alone. Today, in Perth, Australia, 2 men remain.
If I have to fly against Paul, I'm going to hang it out. I have no choice.
You've got to put the pressure on. You've got to put in a blistering time.
With 1 world championship on the line.
I'm not going to lay down. Trust me, I'm going to give it the best I can.
The final stop of the Red Bull Air Race World Series, right now on FSN.
This is beautiful Perth, Australia, and it is right here today that we will find out who will be crowned the Red Bull Air Race World Series champion for 2007. Hi again, everybody. I'm Mike Goldberg, joined as always by my partner, Alan Preston, former combat aviator and Air Race World champion. And speaking of champions, it all comes down to this. For the championship, Paul Bonhomme and Mike Mangold. 1 race remains. They're separated by 2 points, but only one can leave with the title. And the beauty of this season-long battle is these 2 men will meet in the quarterfinals.
That's exactly the way it should be, Mike. These guys want to face each other head-to-head. We got 2 completely different characters. Paul Bonhomme, he's a strategic thinker, he's our quiet stalker, and Mike Mangold, he's as aggressive as they get, and they're going to bang it out right here today.
Now, to simplify things, if Paul Bonhomme wins the quarterfinal matchup against Mangold, he will be the World Series champion. So one would say destiny lies in his hands. But realistically, both men control their fate, because if Mangold defeats him, he can go on and win the title.
Mike Mangold's got to reach in and take destiny into his own hands. If he can beat Paul Bonhomme right here and put an exclamation point on that race, he's got a great shot at being our series champion.
Realistically, as we are set for stop 10 of 10, it can't get any better than it is today. It is Paul Bonhomme with a 2-point lead in the World Series standings, 45 points. Mangold coming off that 5th place finish in San Diego with 43 points. Now, the interesting part of this weekend is where these 2 men, the big 2 if you will, have qualified here in the quarterfinal round. Because for the first time all season long, they will meet each other in the very first round as the number 4 seed and the number 5 seed. There are other stories to be told, but the primary story involves Bonhomme and Mangold. And for more on that, the 3rd member of our broadcast team, here is Emma Griffiths.
2 men, Mike Mangold and Paul Bonhomme, as you mentioned, are separated by just 2 points. Yet the mood down here on the airfield is pretty loose. Mike is sticking with his fly-fast mentality, while Paul Bonhomme is as cool and confident as ever. Now, these 2 have faced each other overall 5 times this season, with Bonhomme having a 3-2 advantage. So we all know that Mike Mangold would love nothing more than to even the score where it matters most, here in Perth.
Emma, thank you very much. If he does not even the score, then the World Series champion will be Paul Bonhomme. Peter Bessignier, currently in 3rd place. He is the number 3 seed here in Perth, Australia. He will open up in the quarterfinals against the American in his 2nd year, who's really had kind of a disappointing season, Michael Goulian. Let's head down to the airfield as our pilots start their engines. Kirby Chambliss will open up against Alexander McLean, but before we hit the skies, let's once again remind you of the rules and regulations here on the Red Bull Air Race World Series. The course must be passed through in the proper fashion, horizontal through the blue gates, vertical or so-called knife edge through the red gates. Penalties are incurred for the following: the first flying too high over a gate, a 3-second penalty. An incorrect level of flight, that's also a 3-second penalty. Incorrect knife edge flight through a red gate, 3-second penalty assessed. Touching a gate is a 10-second penalty added to your time. And if a pilot deviates off course at any time, he will be disqualified. Ah, what a great day for racing here in Perth, Australia. They are partying already on the Swan River, and so much is on the line. Lots to do to get Perth ready for this air race. In fact, this is Langley Park that's been converted for this weekend into our airfield. In fact, have you ever wondered what it takes to bring the Red Bull Air Race World Series to your town? Well, as Emma well knows, it is quite a task, isn't it?
That's right, Mike. Each week during the Red Bull Air Race World Series, the host cities are the target of a massive airlift, delivering a payload of equipment and vehicles that have, for a brief time, literally transformed 10 cities from around the world. It all starts with two huge jumbo jets carrying 125 tons of equipment delivered to every corner of the world. Once the gear arrives, a team of over 300 people work around the clock for 12 days to create a city within a city. A virtual airport is constructed from the ground up. Cameras cover every angle of the 360-degree, mile-long course in the sky.
The greatest show on earth.
Over 15 on the ground, one on top of a 100-foot-tall crane. The helicopter camera takes you even closer to the action. Multiple cameras on each plane, inside the cockpit, on the tail fin, even on the pilot's helmet. And at 260 miles per hour and up to 10 Gs, gear has to be secured tightly in place.
On board and upside down.
Thank you very much.
What an amazing shot from inside the cockpit.
And in a race decided by milliseconds, the innovative replay tool Dartfish tells the story.
Dartfish showing us the difference between winning and losing.
This amazing technology seamlessly composites the paths of two separate flights onto one single shot. And just as quickly as it was built, the city within a city disappears, only to be moved and rebuilt in another exotic location somewhere on the other side of the world.
Emma, thank you very much. We are looking forward to another great day of racing, and it is oh so important. And an important day indeed for Alex McLean. He comes in as the number 2 seed. He'll open up against Kirby Chambliss. So McLean goes into the holding pattern, and Chambliss will be our first to compete here in the quarterfinals. Chambliss will give away his World Series trophy to one of 2 men later today.
Smoke on.
The season will conclude here in Perth, and it opens up with the defending champion, Kirby Chambliss. 240 miles per hour. Early, he hits the chicane. As always, as we've mentioned, it's horizontal through the blue gates, knife edge through the red gates. Our pilots will go vertical now once, but twice over this 15-gate course.
Mike, we just had a great shot of Kirby on the backside of that vertical reverse, or half Cuban as we call it here. And he's got to make a slight adjustment to the left on the way down, which is completely contrary to his natural instincts of lining up with that gate.
Well, naturally, he thought this would be a better season. I think that's what should be said about Kirby Chambliss, and he's complained a little bit, as a lot of our pilots have, about some jet lag. But I think he's ready for this year to be done.
I agree with you, Mike. He's had every problem you could possibly have this year, things he never imagined. And he's got to be very disappointed in the way this new wing is working, too, because he's got examples right in front of him of people who put a new wing on their airplane, and they're seeing a different result.
3 gates remain here in the quarterfinal run for the defending world champion, the American, Kirby Chambliss. The top qualifying time, turned in by Nicholas Ivanoff, was a time of 1:17.53 seconds. So a 1:17.65 is outstanding for Chambliss.
Number 1 Kirby, proceed to hold 3.
You know, Alan, I did say that Kirby's ready to get this season over. That doesn't mean he wants to be eliminated in the quarterfinals, and a good run for Kirby Chambliss. Will it be bettered by this man, Alexander McLean, the number 2 seed here in Perth, Australia.
Number 36 Alejandro cleared into the track. Smoke on.
All right, here comes McLean. He is set to hit the track. And he will open up at 244 miles per hour.
You know, Mike, these racetracks are a little bit like women. Every one of them has the key point where they separate the men from the boys. And here at Perth, it's going to be the quadro. And the one that does it the most aggressively is going home with the trophy.
What's so important, what's so unique about the Quadro setup here?
It's such a high G turn, and those Gs put a terrific load on the pilot. They've got to try to stay awake while they're in it, and the guy that can do the best job, the guy that's the toughest, he's going to win this race.
Remind us again about the load and the Gs, exactly what that means to our pilots.
If he pulls 10 Gs, it's 10 times his body weight pulling the blood out of his head, and he cannot stay awake.
That's why these guys are some of the best in the world. McLean trying to advance to the semifinals. He has struggled in the past weeks. In fact, he has not won a single heat since the race in London, England. Here's McLean, horizontal through the blue gates. He has a slight lead, and here's that all-important Quadro.
Mike, he's got a chance to win this race right here at the Quadro, but he's got to walk a fine line between the energy he carries and the speed he keeps up and how tight he pulls.
Let's see if he's pulled tight enough and kept enough speed as he crosses the finish, and McLean has eliminated Kirby Chambliss.
Number 1 Kirby, 1 minute 17.65 seconds, no penalties. Number 36 Alejandro, 1 minute 16.37 seconds, 0 penalties. Alex, you're through to the semis.
Thank you.
A pumped-up Alex McLean finally advances for the first time since London, England, and the season for the defending World Series champion, Kirby Chambliss, officially comes to conclusion. So Chambliss is eliminated, but this is the quarterfinal matchup that everybody's watching. The World Series title is on the line when Bonhomme faces Mangold. There he is, our World Series leader, Paul Bonhomme, who is just one victory away from capturing the 2007 World Series Championship. Now, moments ago, in other quarterfinal action, it was Nicholas Ivanov, winless all season long, who got his new Extra 300 SR dialed in and cruised to victory over Nigel Lamb. Nicholas Ivanov, the top seed, advances to the semifinals for the first time all season long. So now we are set for the quarterfinal matchup, which could determine who our new World Series champion will be. Because if Paul Bonhomme defeats Mike Mangold right here, right now, he'll leave Perth with the big trophy.
He certainly will, Mike. But I saw something on Mike Mangold a few moments ago. Kind of a throwback to his old fighter pilot days. He was strapping on a G-suit. Now, a G-suit is like a girdle for your legs and your lower stomach. It squeezes under pressure, keeps all the blood in the upper body, and keeps him more alert in these high G turns.
Which tells me that Mangold is going to let it all hang out in his quest to win a second World Series title. It's Mangold against Bonhomme in the quarterfinal matchup of the year.
55 ball cleared into the track, smoke on.
Paul Bonhomme, the World Series points leader, about to hit the track. Here in the quarterfinals, if he wins this race, he is the champion for 2007. Gets off to a great start.
You know, Mike, everybody on the ramp talks about how cool and calm Paul Bonhomme is, but I guarantee you he's every bit the tiger Mike Mangold or any of the other pilots are once he's in that airplane and the canopy's closed.
He has certainly this season been the model of consistency. 3 first-place finishes, 3 second-place finishes, 3 third-place finishes. He has yet to miss the podium. And with a victory here, he will be the World Series champion. And with that in mind, that's the only thing he's concerned about right now, are the 6 gates in front of him.
Absolutely, Mike. All those details are wonderful, but they're in the past. His future lies completely in these next 4 gates.
Let's see what kind of time Bonhomme puts down. Been a very clean run, as expected, by the World Series leader. 3 gates to go. Paul Bonhomme trying to secure the World Series title. 6.6 G out of the Quadro. As he storms to the finish, Paul Bonhomme turns in a time of 1:17.14 seconds.
Number 55 Paul, proceed to hole 3.
All straight, over.
So Bonhomme turns in a very strong time of 117.14. He goes into the hole. And the World Series hopes of the American Mike Mangold, who won the title 2 seasons ago, stands in front of him right now in this quarterfinal heat.
Number 3, Mike. Cleared into the track. Smoke on.
It all comes down to this. His crew chief, Dennis Sawyer, looking on nervously. Can Mangold advance? Remember, it would not secure him the title, but if he does not advance, Bonhomme wins the World Series championship.
Mike, pilots the caliber of Mike Mangold and Paul Bonhomme don't make very many mistakes. So this is not a race that you can let the other person lose. You have to win it. And Mike Mangold gave us a little insight to his strategy to win this race when he put on that G-suit. He intends to pull harder than Paul Bonhomme and win this race.
He's a fighter. He's a Top Gun ace. He's a fighter pilot. And right now, Mangold has a slight lead at the split. Mangold a winner 3 times this season. Second place 3 times. Third place just 2 times. Remember, he missed the podium in San Diego, which is why he must beat Bonhomme right here.
Well, one thing you can be certain of right here, Mike, is we're going to see everything that Mike Mangold brought to the party. He is not going to lose this race by making a mistake.
For all intents and purposes, the season has come down to this. Mangold pulls vertically for the second and final time. He's been the leader so far through the first 2 splits. Now he trails. Mangold trails with 2 gates to go. Can he make up the time? Mangold pulls the final 270.
Mike, that's why he put that G-suit on right here.
Dennis Sawyer looking on. Mangold will storm towards the finish. Mike Mangold wins. Mangold has eliminated Bonhomme.
Number 55, Paul. 1 minute, 17.14 seconds. No penalties. Number 3, Mike. 1 minute, 16.44 seconds. No penalties. Mike is through to the semis.
Very much. Great race, Paul. Nice job, all season. Well done, Mike, and well done to Wade. Thanks, Wade, for all your help this year.
Wow. We could not ask for anything more as these 2 men collide in the quarterfinals and Mangold eliminates Bonhomme.
Mike, if you ever wondered why these 2 guys were in such a tight race for this series championship, watch this dartfish. They trade leads back and forth at virtually every gate. And on the last trip through the quadro, Mike Mangold pulls out what he probably came into this race expecting to do. He loads the airplane up, he pulls tighter, he wins the race right there.
Truly a microcosm of the season and the battle between the big 2, Mike Mangold and Paul Bonhomme. Bonhomme now becomes a spectator, and Mangold controls his destiny. If he wins his next race, he will capture the title. Wow, what a great day here in Perth, Australia. And the drama continues right here on the Red Bull Air Race World Series on FSN.
Are the credit cards?
Welcome back to Perth, Australia. Welcome back to the Red Bull Air Race World Series on FSN. Moments ago, Michael Goulian against Peter Bessignet in our final quarterfinal matchup of the day. And how about this? Goulian, just like Ivanov, who hadn't won a race all season, has advanced to his first semifinal of the year. So our final 4 is set. Nicholas Ivanov will face Mike Mangold. Alex McLean will battle Michael Goulian. We know this for certain, that Paul Bonhomme has finished in 5th place, which means he has earned 2 points for a total of 47 on the year. Now you can see right here that if Mike Mangold wins this heat and advances to the finals, he will at least secure himself 48 points, which would make him the world champion for the 2nd time in 3 seasons. So my partner Alan Preston, the situation is very simple now for Mangold. It's not do or die because he could still win if he loses, but he has destiny in his hands. If he beats Ivanov, he's the world champ.
Mike, all that being said, on any other day, you'd think that was a certainty. But today, the way Ivanov is flying, he's come out of nowhere. I think it's anybody's race.
And you know what? To validate your point, in the quarterfinals, Nicholas Ivanov was actually faster than Mike Mangold. And Mangold's time, of course, eliminated Paul Bonhomme. So what's going through the mind of Mike Mangold right now? For more on that, let's go down to the airfield and Emma Griffiths.
Mike Mangold, after returning from his head-to-head victory over Paul Bonhomme, has transformed from loose and relaxed to a different kind of beast. After landing, he's isolated himself back here in his hangar and has refused to speak to the media. It's all focused for Mangold down here on the airfield. Back to you guys.
Emma, thank you very much. Meantime, Paul Bonhomme in his hangar watching the race that may have cost him the World Series title. But first things first, our first semifinal matchup between Alexander McLean and Michael Goulian is coming up next when we continue our coverage of the Red Bull Air Race World Series right here on FSN. Welcome back to Perth, Australia. Welcome back to the Red Bull Air Race World Series on FSN. We pick up the semifinal run of Michael Goulian, advancing to the semifinals for the first time this 2007 season. A rookie 1 year ago, it certainly has not been the year that Goulian has hoped it would be.
Number 99, Michael, proceed to hold 3.
Proceed to 3 for Mike.
Goulian with a 118.99. He could put some of the frustration of this year behind him, though, with a victory here today.
Number 36, Alejandro, cleared into the tracks. Smoke on.
Of course, the same can be said for Alex McLean. As McLean hits the track for his semifinal round, let's go down to the hangar real quickly, check in with Emma. She's got Paul Bonhomme.
So, Paul, you seemed quite confident earlier on that you could beat Mike. What happened out there?
Well, I put in quite a good time, actually, but as usual, Mike could put in quite a good time as well. You know, I think his aeroplane's fast around this track. That's the way the cookie crumbles. Only a game.
So now it's just a waiting game.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see what happens. See if Nicholas can put in another storming round and, you know, keep Mike back to 3rd or 4th. But, you know, I think Mike will get stronger as the day goes on, but I'll keep my fingers crossed.
Thanks, Paul. Guys, back to you.
Emma, thank you very much. Paul Bonhomme in the waiting game and the holding pattern, truly, if you will, as McLean is on the track here in the semifinals. And while we focus in on the World Series championship, this is not a meaningless semifinal heat because Alex McLean and Michael Goulian would love to build some momentum for next season.
You know, Mike, just one man's opinion, but if they're going to build for next season, they're going to have to look in a direction other than the one they've been looking at all year. You know, the difference between a very good pilot and a great pilot is the ability to consistently be fast. And here, these guys, you could cover their talent spread with a quarter, from the best to the worst. They're going to have to take a serious look at the equipment they're flying, what they're going to do to it in the off-season if they want to come back here and climb into the winner's circle.
McLean storms to the finish. He's too slow. Michael Goulian advances to his first finals of the season.
Number 99, Michael, 1 minute 18.99 seconds with no penalties. Number 36, Alejandro, 1 minute 19.18 seconds, no penalties. Michael, you're into the final.
Thank you very much.
Goulian is pumped up. Let's see how he has advanced to his first final. We'll take a look once again at our Dartfish replay. That's where we show you the pilot's course of flight simultaneously.
You know, Mike, we talked all day long about this quadro making the difference in winners and losers on this racetrack. And you can see it clearly right here. Goulian trailed McLean all day long, and he chose that point on the racetrack to win the race, and he did.
Goulian pulls harder between 13 and 14 and advances to his first final of the season. Coming up now, though, it's Nicholas Ivanov against Mike Mangold. Remember, if Mangold wins, he's the World Series champion. If he doesn't, things are going to get crazy here in Perth. We continue our coverage of the Red Bull Air Race World Series right here on FSN. Welcome back once again to beautiful Perth, Australia. Our final stop of the year on the Red Bull Air Race World Series. And now it's this heat that will determine perhaps who our World Series champion will be. Remember, if Mike Mangold wins, the title is his. If he does not eliminate Nicholas Ivanov, well, then there's a ton of scenarios.
End of the track, smoke on.
Mangold, in defeating Paul Bonhomme, turned in a blistering time of 1:16.44 seconds. Can he get back up to that level? Can he fly with that aggression again here in the semifinals?
You know, Mike, the fatigue becomes a factor when you have this much pressure on every race. We saw a great cockpit shot of Mike a few moments ago. You see him trying to loosen himself up and get focused. I think he's under more pressure this time than last time.
I think you can make the argument that in the quarterfinals, all the pressure was on Bonhomme because he knew if he won the title. Now, the pressure's on Mangold because he knows if he wins the title.
Absolutely, Mike. Mangold is at his best when he's got one target right in front of him. He's a point-and-shoot weapon. I think all of these potential scenarios are really weighing him down right now.
He's at his best when people think he's down. Now he wants to be up and become the champion for 2007. Mangold with 4 gates remaining. He goes vertical for the final time. Remember, he has to maneuver through the quadro on 2 more occasions before he hits the finish. Mangold coming off that blistering 1:16.44.
Mike, that's a very uncharacteristic Mangold turn right there. Did you see him settle going into the quadro?
That's where the fatigue and the stress may have settled in, and Mangold finishes with a time here in the semis of 1:18.61, and he knows he's left the door open.
3 Mike, proceed to hold 3.
Hey, they're all standing.
Mike Mangold referring to the pylons and that he ran through that course again without being assessed a penalty. But that being said, he still has left the door open for this man, Nicholas Ivanov.
Number 27, Nicola, cleared into the tracks, smoke on.
And Nicholas Ivanov was lightning fast in the quarterfinals with a 1:16.32. That was even faster than Mangold's quarterfinal time. He has been very good this weekend in his extra 300 SR.
Mike, I've been waiting all year to see Ivanov fly like this. I love this airplane, I like its potential, and he's finally up to the mission.
Nicholas Ivanov finally in the semifinals. Nicholas Ivanov finally the #1 seed, and he has the early lead on Mangold.
Well, Ivanov has got the right airplane for this race. He spent the entire season getting this airplane ready. We're seeing a glimpse of the future right here in this race.
Building for tomorrow and perhaps ruining today for Mike Mangold. He has nearly a second lead with 6 gates remaining. Ivanov is really going to have to make a mistake or things are going to get interesting because Ivanov is on his way to throwing Mike Mangold into the 3rd place consolation heat.
Absolutely. Just when you think it couldn't get any more interesting, Ivanov shows up and throws him right back into the mix.
Credit Nicholas Ivanov with turning in another spectacular run. 1 gate remains.
Mike, this is not a good run. This is a great run.
And a run that is going to make things so much more interesting here in Perth, Australia.
Number 3 Mike, 1 minute, 18.61 seconds, no penalties. Number 27 Nicola, 1 minute, 15.78 seconds, no penalties. Nicola, you're through.
And you saw all the guys downstairs are absolutely loving the drama. Ivanov won the heat easily. And look at Bonhomme with a sense of relief. But still, it's not over yet. First things first, though, Starfish replay. This one wasn't even close.
You know, Mike, it actually started out pretty close. Mangold is exactly where we expect him to be, out in front. But I honestly think fatigue began to take over here. And if you watch him through the Cuban, the vertical reverse here, Mangold is not flying as tight as he normally does. Couple that with Ivanov's airplane simply being faster, and you get the result we're looking at. Ivanov just drives off and leaves him.
And not so much physical fatigue, but the mental fatigue that Mike Mangold is going through today in Perth, Australia, trying to wrap up his 2nd World Series title in 3 years. As Nicholas Ivanov has made things very interesting here. He will face Goulian in the finals. This is the Red Bull Air Race World Series on FSN. Welcome back to this drama-filled day in Perth. All right, here's the situation now. Mangold has the third-place consolation race still in front of him. If he wins that, he will be tied for the World Series points lead with Paul Bonhomme, which means we go down to the many tie-breaking scenarios, which are very complicated because these men have competed so closely all season long. So while the officials continue to work on those scenarios, we will focus in on the finals and 2 first-time finalists. Second-year pilot, the American Michael Goulian, against the Corsican Nicholas Ivanov. For Goulian, this undoubtedly can be the brightest moment of his young career.
Number 99 Michael cleared into the tracks. Smoke on.
Just moments ago, Emma caught up with Michael Goulian.
Mike, you've made it to your first final this season at the last race.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
It's great. It's a great way to end the season. You know, it's been a frustrating year. We started off with pretty much a stock airplane. Tim Hess, my technician, has been making it better every single race, and I've been getting more comfortable in the plane, and this is the culmination of that.
And is reaching the final in this race a look ahead to 2008 for you?
Yeah, it really is. You know, for me, I just need to be comfortable in the machine, and this really is, I started in San Diego, and now here I'm starting to feel at one with this plane, so it's a good feeling.
Mike, good luck. Guys, back to you.
Emma, thank you very much. Michael Goulian halfway through the course now. Goulian trying to set a time down that will be unbeatable. Michael Goulian's quickest time so far today was a 1:17.88 seconds. That was in the quarterfinal round when he defeated Peter Bessignier.
Goulian will have to fly more than the race of his life right here because Ivanov has got the right horse for this race, and he is blindingly fast.
Remember, Ivanov, Ellen, put in a 1:15.78. That was the time that ousted Mike Mangold. Michael Goulian in the number 99 plane, a huge hockey fan. His favorite player is Wayne Gretzky. He wants to be the great one today. Can Goulian do it? His time, 1:18.52 seconds. Ivanov, if history holds true, will be faster than that.
Number 99 Michael, proceed to hold 3.
And you can tell Michael Goulian is not happy. Because he, as you illustrated, Alan, knows that Ivanov has been virtually flawless throughout this weekend in Perth, Australia.
You know, Mike, actually a little atypical for Ivanov. He's been mistake-free all weekend. During the year, he was plagued by mistakes. We've seen him over and over while he was coming to grips with this airplane. But unless he makes one of those mistakes today, frankly speaking, Goulian has no shot.
Well, truly, if you look at the entire season for Nicholas Ivanov, he turned a lot of heads when he made the aircraft change, and he made the specification changes earlier. And I believe this is just maybe the bright side of the process, if you will. He's finally caught up to his aircraft.
Mike, you remember when Ivanov first showed up with this airplane, there was a lot of rumblings down on the ramp, whether the airplane was safe, whether it was going a direction that they didn't like. And then it all died down because Ivanov wasn't having any success with it. I'm pretty sure he knew something the rest of us didn't, and he got better every time, and right now, he is on fire.
He has been absolutely lightning fast today. His quarterfinal time, 1:16.32. His semifinal time, 1:15.78. And the time to beat here to win his first title ever is just 1:18.52. Ivanov should accomplish that without a problem.
I think it's pretty clear that he's going to be our winner here unless he drives through one of these pylons.
I don't see it happening. Nicholas Ivanov crosses the finish with a blistering time of 1:15.15 seconds. He has won in Perth.
99 Michael, 1 minute 18.52 seconds, no penalties. Number 27 Nicola, 1 minute 15.15 seconds with no penalties. Nicola, you are the winner of Red Bull Air Race Perth in 2007. Congratulations.
Oh, for sure. Nicholas, awesome job, my friend. That was great.
Congratulations indeed to Nicholas Ivanov. And as you can see here on the Dartfish replay, he flew brilliantly. What was the difference?
I think it's pretty clear, Mike. It's a faster airplane. The Dartfish usually shows us different course lines that people fly. Here they're flying exactly the same track. Ivanov's airplane is a lot faster.
And it leads to his first career win. So Ivanov is the winner, but now we get to the big picture. The World Series title is still on the line. They've worked the tie-break scenarios, and Emma has an update from down on the airfield.
I've just been given the official word that if Mike Mangold wins his third place consolation final, he will be crowned 2007 Red Bull Air Race World Series champion. It's literally coming down to the wire here in Perth.
Emma, thank you very much. So Emma, great job getting confirmation from our officials on all the tie-breaking scenarios. To put it simply, if Mike Mangold beats Alex McLean, he will once again be the World Series champion. The 2007 title is still up for grabs when we return on FSN. Welcome back to Perth, where, as Emma points out, the officials have been scrambling behind closed doors, and now it has been determined, as Emma talked about, that if Mike Mangold wins right now, he will be the World Series champion for 2007. Here's how it breaks down. Both men have 3 first-place finishes, 3 second-place finishes. If Mangold wins now, they'll have 3 third-place finishes, and a 5th each because of Bonhomm's finish today. So we work our way all the way down to the 7th tie-breaking scenario because both men were top-seeded 4 different occasions. And it's Mike Mangold who was the number 2 seed just one more time. So, Alan, today's battle for third will determine who finishes 2007 number 1.
Number 36 Alejandro cleared into the track. Smoke on.
So the 2007 title and season comes down to this. Alex McLean will be the first to hit the track at 249 miles per hour. A lightning fast start. Through number 3. Oh, a penalty. A penalty has been assessed to Alex McLean, and another one. Back-to-back penalties assessed to Alex McLean.
Mike, we just got a good shot of McLean shaking his head. He knows he didn't see the tops of those gates go by when he went through them. He knows he just made 2 serious mistakes and probably threw this race away.
6 seconds worth of penalties assessed to Alex McLean early in this third-place consolation run. What's Mike Mangold thinking right now? Or what's Paul Bonhomme thinking?
Well, Mike, I can tell you what Paul Bonham's thinking. He can see that World Series championship trophy disappearing. But Mike Mangold, he's up in the box. I don't think he knows.
Remember, the rules and regulations here on the Red Bull Air Race World Series include the fact that you just have your own radio, so you don't hear anything else. You would allegedly not hear the penalty horns, and certainly the times are not told to our competitors until the entire heat is over. So McLean penalized not once, but twice, and he'll leave a very easily beatable time of 126.35 on the board. But to stress the point, Mangold may not know that.
He doesn't know. He's got to come down here and fly the same race he flies every time if he wants to win.
Well, obviously, Dennis Sawyer knows, but Mangold still must win to be the world champion. Will he do it? Find out next, right here on FSN. Welcome back to Perth, and it all has come down to this. 10 cities, 9 different countries worldwide. This, the 80th heat of the season. 146 total gates to find out if that man, Paul Bonhomme, or that man, Mike Mangold, will be the World Series champion for 2007. Remember, McLean was penalized twice.
Into the track. Smoke on.
It all comes down to the next 1 minute and 20 seconds. Because 1:26 is the time to beat. But Mangold doesn't know that. He just knows he's 1 win away from capturing the title for the second time in 3 years.
You're right, Mike, and we're going to see a Mike Mangold race here. He entered the race course at 2:45. He's on it, I promise you.
Well, same entry speed as he had virtually against Paul Bonhomme when he put himself in position to capture the championship. Mangold with a definitive lead because the penalties came early in the run of Alex McLean. The one thing, though, I've got to ask you here, Alan, Mangold said before when he had the disappointing semifinal run, well, at least they're all standing, talking about ripping through a pylon. How does he put that out of his mind here?
Mike Mangold doesn't have that problem. First of all, he flies like he's on a monorail. And secondly, he never thinks about losing. He only thinks about winning.
Well, he's 5 gates away from winning here in 2007. Going vertically for the last time this season. Mangold, 3 gates remaining. If he's clean, he will be the victor. 2 gates to go. Mangold pulls the 270. He's got to slide through flawlessly on the Quadro, and he does! Mangold will storm towards the finish! Mike Mangold is the 2007 World Series champion!
Number 36, Alejandro, 1 minute 26.35 with 6 seconds of penalties. Number 3, Mike, 1 minute 18.24 seconds with no penalties. That gives you 3rd place, and that makes you the new world champion for the Red Bull Air Race World Series 2007. Congratulations.
Hey, thank you very much, guys. It's been a real struggle all year round. I know for all the teams and everybody. Great job down here in Perth. What a wonderful place to end it. Congratulations, Mike. Well done. Thank you, Alex.
10 cities. A roller coaster ride all season long, and all kinds of drama today for Mike Mangold and Paul Bonhomme. Bonhomme, the runner-up for 2007. Mangold secures the title here in Perth.
Mike, what a roller coaster of a day. The drama has worn me out. First, Mangold comes out and stares Bonham down one-on-one and beats him in the quarterfinals. Then he faces Ivanov, who's flying the race of his life and has a heartbreaking loss in the semis. He gathers himself up, he takes a step back, he faces McLean in the battle for 3rd, and he whips him.
And in doing so, secures his 2nd title in 3 years. Mike Mangold returning to the airfield here in beautiful Perth, Australia, a champion once again. It took us 7 levels of tie-breaking scenarios to determine that Mangold would be the winner. Mangold, the World Series champion, is down on the airfield with our own Emma Griffiths.
Mike, congratulations, 2007 World Series champion. Put it into words for us.
It's been a struggle. It's been I say struggle and luck. We've struggled like all the teams have throughout the year. And like I say, we're very lucky to be here, even in 3rd place on this one. It's just so many new faces here in the top 3. I feel very lucky and know what a struggle's been for everybody.
How are you going to celebrate?
Well, first I'm going to go over there and get Dennis up on the podium with me, and then we'll have some champagne and who knows what here in Perth. We'll have a good time.
Go crazy tonight.
Absolutely.
Congratulations, Mike.
Thanks, Emma.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Emma, thank you very much. Indeed, congratulations to Mike Mangold. We could not have had a better story. That being said, Mike Mangold alluded to it. We also saw a glimpse of the future.
Oh, man, did we. Our story has been Mike Mangold and Paul Bonham, 2 really fast guys, head-to-head all year. And we got to see them today. We saw exactly what they're made of. But Ivanov showed us what the future looks like, and the future is fast.
Congratulations to Mike Mangold. Kirby Chambliss passes the trophy back into the hands of the Top Gun ace, Mike Mangold. Partner, it's been a ton of fun. You did a great job. For my partner, Alan Preston, our entire Red Bull Air Race World Series crew, Mike Goldberg saying so long from Perth, Australia, where you have been watching the Red Bull Air Race World Series here on FSN. Congratulations to Mike Mangold. So long, everybody.